Welcome to Stop Stigma, Start Healing. My name is Miles, and I will be your host as we explore issues of being Black and LGBTQ. In trying to come up with a title for this, is it Black and LGBTQ? Is it LGBTQ and Black? I think I've heard that that's the age-old thing that folks are forced to try to have to decide. Are you Black, then queer? Are you queer, then Black?
Nice.
So I don't know. I don't have an answer to it. So
you know what's funny to me?
Hit me, baby.
When I'm telling you, I had conversations earlier that were quite literally on this topic, and maybe this is serendipitous, but I had to have this conversation earlier with someone where I said, I want y'all to understand that because as a therapist, I recognize we all have...
Say that! Oh my God, what?
Yeah, I'm a
We're going to have
therapist,
to link up after this.
Say
baby.
yes.
Say less.
But I recognize that everybody comes to their journey depending upon what they were exposed to first in life, right? So for me, I knew very early that I was Black first.
Oh my God, I didn't find out until I was 7.
No, I found out early, but it's because a white kid told me.
Oh.
And it had everything to do with being called, we all know what it is. I hate saying N-word, y'all, because I feel like it takes away the power, but we all know what the word is. But I knew I was Black first, and then I figured out later, maybe I'm somewhere within the spectrum. Because it never felt right to be like, I'm gay. Oh my God. But thank God, language has evolved. Because now I know pansexual.
Oh, but I love you.
Bisexuality didn't feel right either, but thank God for pansexuality later. But Black first is what I am. So I don't know. But what was y'all's experience?
Which is crazy. I knew I was Black, obviously, but the fact that the way that that was such a new way. I learned that I was Black when I was 3, and my mom and I were walking through a store. It was an Asian store. It was a hair store. And of course, my mom's holding my hand, and I just noticed this lady following us, following. And I just remember my mom giving me this look. And it was like, when we got out in the car, I remember just like in so many words, like, Ma. Like she knew. And she was like, it's because we're Black, baby. And we're going to deal with that. And that was at 3. But I knew I was different because I didn't know the word gay. But I knew in 5th grade, I knew when I was 5 years old that I wanted to kiss the little girl at Harvest Church. I knew that I knew that I wanted to give Valentine's cards to Susie and Becky and not. I grew up in white spaces.
I was a Susie too.
You
Jennifer.
Was there a Danielle? There's always a Danielle.
Not the one I wanted to kiss.
She's either cool, she ain't. Either way, and it was just like it wasn't until I was 12 when I was like, oh, I'm a lesbian.
That's a big word.
Which is what I saw something that was talking about how the word lesbian is really a fetishized word because why are we separate? Why is gay men gay and lesbians are lesbians but we're gay? It's just like, oh, it's all part of like that fetishization that just like
Tune in to episode 5 where we talked with real live lesbians in this space. How about you, Dion? Is it Black and queer or?
So I really wasn't confronted with being Black per se until high school. So I grew up in the suburbs and I was around white people all the time. And so I just naturally thought, I just blended in with everybody else. I could clearly see that I was Black, but I wasn't really confronted with it until one of the kids came up to me, a white kid came up to me and said, where do I get grease for my little nappies?
I'm sorry, do what?
what? So
Yes.
So I had micro braids and somebody, because I'm half Jamaican, they were like, look at Letitia she get off the banana boat. Didn't realize that was racism.
Yeah.
So like, damn, baby, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was my very first wake-up call that, oh my gosh, this world is a little bit different than I thought it was.
Yeah, it
and
is.
I am Black and I'm different. And around that same time, I was also figuring out that I was gay and I was attracted to my best friend, and I'm like,
It's always the best friend. Baby.
yeah, and I'm like, how do I
spaces.
navigate this and like this realization that I'm Black and gay, and I'm in a household where my mother's very religious and very anti-gay.
Gotta love that Black
So
Christianity.
I had 3 things coming together all at once. It was a little crazy.
Okay, so with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and get started.
Please do.
Come on.
So, hello, my name is Miles. My pronouns are he, him, his. I am your host of Stop Stigma, Start Healing, the raw and uncensored podcast where we talk openly and unapologetically about our lives as trans, lesbian, bi, gay, queer, pan, and HIV positive humans.
Gang, gang.
Our goal is to stop the stigma that prevents us from getting the health care we deserve. Each episode, we feature real people in our community in conversation and storytelling. The disclaimer: the experiences shared here are valuable and important, and they are based on the lives of those in this space and some of you who are listening. Prepare to be educated, shocked, seen, triggered, and informed. But no matter your response, keep the conversation going. Start healing. So, welcome to this episode where we are talking about being Black and LGBTQ, or being LGBTQ and Black. We don't really know which, and it probably isn't really that important for me or for the title, but it's probably more important, it sounds like, for people to identify what that is for themselves in their own experience.
Amen.
Right? Maybe?
Say we should.
Love looks better in color.
There you go. Thank you, Lizzo.
I love Lucy for that
know.
too.
You know, we love Lucy for that
We
too.
do.
So if we could go around the room, introduce yourself, tell us your pronouns, and share with the audience listening out there just what you would like them to know about who you are and who you are in this space tonight.
Awesome. Well, since we're here, hi, I'm William D. Stinchcomb. Pronouns are he, him, his. And something to know about me, some folks might recognize me because I'm a therapist, and so I've done a lot of work in the community. But the things that I think I'm proudest of, besides being a dragon, let's see, I'm a dad, and that's really important to me because he just turned 16 the other day. And
He's
it's
adorable.
I have a mini me out here in this world, and it's fucking blowing my mind. It's blowing my mind because he was born my senior year of college, so he's a constant reminder of how long I've been out of college.
You said 16? Okay.
There's that. There's like,
No,
oh my
baby,
gosh,
no.
like, and my back tells me too now that I'm a little older. But
That's capitalism, baby. That's not age.
but no, being a dad, and I just try to be a good human being. So I mean, I think that's really my basics. You know, my basics.
But you ain't basic, baby.
I'm trying not to be in this world.
Do or not do, there's no try. Go ahead.
So I'm Dion. My pronouns are he, him, his. I'm an accountant by day and a singer by night. I'm part of the Columbus Gay Men's Chorus. I've been a member of that chorus for about, 5 years now. I also have a secret talent. Yes, I am a ballroom dancer as well.
Bitch, what?
So my ex-husband actually is a professional ballroom dancer, and he taught me how to dance a long time ago when we were married. So, so I've got that card up my sleeve if I ever need it.
That's attractive as hell.
I'm just sitting here, waiting to see you pop out with something. Maybe after the recording.
Afterward,
No, we
yeah,
could
yeah.
do-
We don't want to catch that on
Screw
camera.
the cha-cha.
That's
Wanna teach
episode
me-
11.
When we had to
Dion
teach me how to do
does
the Korean
ballroom.
waltz. Like, goddamn.
Be a pure way. Oh wait a minute, that's ballet. Never mind.
Same. No, it's not. No, it's not. Don't come for me. Hi, my name is Letitia. She, her. That's crazy that he, him, his, but there's not that many for she, her.
She, her, hers.
And do you see?
Well, I think we just mansplained pronouns to you.
Sorry.
Thank you. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't know
Mine is just
English.
he, him now. Okay, so sorry. So sorry.
good.
Do not come for me.
My name is Letitia Lachey. I am a activist. I am also a fire spinner. I spin fire. I'm also a poet, and I'm published, which is pretty cool. And I am actually I am going through this adoption process at some point. Yes, so I am learning how to be a mother, who she calls me Pops, because I'm dad sometimes. Their pronouns are she, her. She's older. I'm going through the adoption process with a 19-year-old because you're never too young to have healthy parents, and you're not too young to you're never too old to be a parent. And I've done so much work that it's like being that safe space for somebody and being like, that's my kid.
Nice.
Like it's so fucking, like, you're right. Like, I don't know. I feel like crying. I love you, Chloe.
And let me tell you, because I work in child welfare currently, and I have historically for the majority of my career, and that is 100%. Like, hearing you say that warmed my heart, because I always tell people, if once I become an adoptive parent, because that's a goal eventually, I don't want the babies, and there's nothing wrong with the
Say
babies.
that. There's nothing
There's
wrong.
nothing wrong with it. 100%. Everybody wants the babies, and you don't understand what it's like when you've worked with a 16-year-old boy who has never had a birthday cake, and you're doing, it was something that I took for granted working at residential. Was one day I was just doing birthdays for all the kids, and it was for one of our harder to place kids, and giving him a birthday cake because I'm like, it's your birthday, duh, like. Of course you get a birthday. Like, here you go, kid. And he cried. I cry almost every time telling the story because he cried. And he was like, that's the first time someone ever gave me a birthday cake for his 16th birthday.
You know, and like,
so I love hearing you say that.
God, you're gonna make me fucking cry. So I'm also a poetry teacher for writers and residents, and I teach in juvenile detention centers. So like, I'm all around Ohio, and so like, being I was incarcerated. So when I go into these systems, these juvies, which is just children's prisons, juvenile detention systems are prisons just for kids. And it's like seeing this 13-year-old who is now 19 years old, who went up for parole for them and get denied. And it's like your caregiver didn't want anything to do with you. And that's why you can't even get out. Not that you were bad or anything, it's because your caregiver who's in charge. And it's just like, my mom was a foster parent when I grew up. So I grew up with having foster brothers and sisters, and it's just, and it's, you know, you feel me? Because kindness isn't taught. Niceness is. Kind isn't always nice, but nice will never be kind. Nice has a motive. Kindness is taught unconsciously.
Very deep.
You don't even think on that.
Yeah. So if you wouldn't mind going back around the circle and share with the folks at home listening your coming out experience, whatever you're comfortable sharing that you think is important for people to hear. We'd like to hear about it.
Go ahead, baby.
I can start.
Let's do it.
I did it.
Black and gay. Let's go. You know this about to be fire.
So I'll start kind of where the main action happened. Ooh. So I'm at my house, just minding my own business in my room.
5:29.
Reading a book, 19 years old. Okay. So just turned 19, came home from college, or from my first year of college. And my mother barges in my room. And she has this really just stern look on her face. And I'm like, what's going on? Like, I'm confused. I don't know what's going on. So she slams my door, she looks me dead in my eyes, and she says, "Are you gay?" And I'm like, how do you respond to that?
Maybe.
Are you doing the bending?
Can you add more to that?
Right.
Because there's
Can you use it in a sentence? Right. What kind of gay are we talking about, Mama?
L-E.
So in that moment, I just looked her in her eyes and I said, yes.
Wow, that's brave.
I couldn't lie to her. I figured she knew something that I had hidden, or she found something that I had hidden, because I had a lot of stuff hidden throughout that house. And then she told me after that, "You're going to hell." Oh. And she walked away.
We love the hell talks.
Yeah. So imagine me, a 19-year-old kid.
God, it's so fun.
You know, my mom was my best friend until that moment. And she tells me, you know, she just flips the script on me right there. So I just sat in my room, just in silence, just crying, while she was doing whatever she was doing. And our relationship never was the same after that. We spent a long time not talking to each other, about 15 years not talking to each other. And I'm just now at a point where I can have conversations with her. We can actually talk about me being gay. I can talk about having a boyfriend, and she's mostly okay with that. So
that's just sucky experience. And I'm sorry that was your always like. It's such a it
always
sucks.
Validating. It's terrible.
Fucking sucks. Like, there's really no other way.
It does, but I'm glad that it happened because it showed me who she was and what her priorities were.
Goddamn.
So.
Goddamn.
It was a learning experience for me.
Look, my therapist is about to come out just a slight bit. I know we told our own stories, right? But
yeah.
My therapist is coming out just a slight bit. So you said you guys reconnected more recently. Like, do you feel like that's coming back a little bit, or?
I mean, I feel like I'm keeping her at arm's length still because I don't trust her completely.
Which you are completely allowed.
Yeah, right.
But I'm trying to be open to a relationship with her. So.
It's healthy.
Yeah.
It's very healthy.
Yeah.
Go you for having your boundaries and like, hey, it's not the child's job to keep the relationship with the parent.
True.
So like, go you for
Thank
protecting
you.
yourself. Like,
And I always tell everybody that I know, especially friends, clients alike, like whatever. We weren't actually born to the parents we were born to.
say that. I didn't wake up and ask for taxes.
I mean, I'm sure somewhere I was in my dad's balls, and it was just kind of a day, like, and that was the chosen one.
Hold on. I got a fun fact.
You out of a million.
I'm just saying.
Fun fact. You know that little thing how we were taught that, like it's, oh, you were the fastest swimmer?
Yeah.
So turns out the egg chooses the sperm.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people don't. The egg chooses at the end of the day.
Invites in
Hello,
the one
may I
she
please
wants.
insert?
Say that. What? Who are you? Not you. You're gross.
Yeah, get out of
Your
here.
tail is something's not quite gone. Bye, boy.
Is William in there? We want William.
Right. So no.
Come on down.
Come on out. Go figure. And coming out stories. I will work that. I will segue into that. Coming out stories. I don't feel like I ever truly had a coming out story.
That's awesome.
Because I always felt like I was just me, and I'll give you a little bit of it. I'm an only child from my mother.
Okay.
I'm one of 14 from my daddy. One of 14 from my dad.
Go black man.
My dad died in 2016, and I just discovered a new sister last year, but that's not the here nor there.
That's episode 12.
I'm just saying, Ancestry DNA here. Dana, she lying. She telling on everybody's business, y'all. Be careful. She's telling your business.
How'd you get hide your siblings?
I'm just saying.
And
But
they're listening as we speak.
I mean, it's
Somebody's gonna look at me like, don't he look like your daddy?
I mean, it is what it is. But I'm my mom's only child, so my mom and I have a very strong relationship, and so I do believe genuinely, because my mom has always shown me unconditional love. I've never really had to come out per se. I was just always lived my life. She saw who I hung around. She saw who I was with. But I never quite felt right saying that I was straight, gay, or even bisexual, because all the folks that I hung around with were some combination of other things. And so it just didn't ever feel like, oh, I needed to like officially announce that I'm one thing or the other. So I brought home a girlfriend. I brought home a boyfriend. I was starting to talk to somebody who did drag, and that was just kind of what it was. So it never really felt like I needed to come out, but I feel like there were many coming outs along the way where I like had the conversation with mom, and mom accepted me unconditionally. Cool, move on.
How it should be. I love that. Like that's the whole movement, is that you no longer have to come out.
You don't have to.
You can just
There's
bring
like,
your boyfriend home or whoever, and it's like, so anyway.
It was, but I will say the one that I felt like was the most, not traumatizing, but the one where I had like the most like nervousness about it was when I came out to my fraternity brothers. And that one was kind of like, because I was already in our frat and everything, and so it just was kind of like, shit, will they accept me or not?
HBU?
No. But we were on my campus. We were very much a social organization, and that lent to, at the time that I joined, we were majority black, but it ebbs and flows.
But it's still an institution based on
heteronormative processes. And so for me, I was just like, damn, like I gotta have this conversation. But to my great surprise, none of them had a problem, and we actually ended up using it like during pledging for a little while there.
Yeah.
Because one of the questions we ended up asking during the years that I was there was, who do you think gets the most ass in the fraternity? And by literalness,
And your boy will be right.
they were wrong because it was me. Because by literal sense of ass, well, me.
You got all the ass.
You got.
I mean,
we're not
all
gonna say
that.
that because it was a small campus, and I don't want nobody to be thinking like, "Oh, William got." So he slept with no.
So what you're saying is you're a hoe. Thotting on the floor.
Look here, we are not going to be out here bringing out my inner church girl.
Listen, I
calling it to the
I'm just
table.
trying to worship at your altar. Teach me, because
It's a thing, but I'm gonna drop it.
church girl.
That's my drop, y'all. Because I'm 37 and these knees are starting not to drop like they used to.
Not 37 is capitalism. You better stop.
Tell that to these knees.
So what were you doing when you were younger? How many jobs did you have? How many times did you go out? How many overtimes did you work? They teach us that youth stops after 25. It's not. If we were taught how to take care of our bodies, then 30 wouldn't be the the hill. We weren't taught that. We were taught to work.
That
and
is a
grind.
whole other episode, though. So let's
Right.
let's get
Go
back
ahead.
to your story, though.
So by the way, which I love, the reason why I asked about if were they black men, because I know masculinity is hyperalized in the black community.
Right.
So like, it's not just you coming out to white men. You're coming out to black men who are alpha hoteps.
But I will say I think the reason why it ended up being better for me, and this is, I really believe my 100% truth. I really did I come from an unconditional family, so everyone loves me. My grandmother, who's my dad's mom, one of my favorite people on this earth. Y'all can't do nothing, say nothing about my grandma. I will
say
fight
nothing.
y'all in the streets. Like, that's my girl, right?
Hands.
But my grandma is a religious woman. And on the back of her vehicle, at one point, she even had like marriage between the man and the woman. But I do believe that because of at least 2 of her grandchildren, me and one of my other cousins, who are also very attentive to our grandmother and her needs, I'm not going to say we swayed her thought about it, but I do believe my grandmother is the walking epitome of what it means to be a Christian in that aspect of I accept you for who you are, regardless of what my beliefs are. I still got to worry about my own issues. And so because I had that sort of support, I didn't have to worry about it. Plus, I was the marked one to be like going to college.
Oh,
and
you
do
had all
the-
those nice things that came with it.
Right. So
He can do what he wants. He's gone to college. He's got
I mean,
therapy.
he brought home a boyfriend, but
But
he's got a son now. Or he brought a boyfriend, but he's got his college degree.
he got a boyfriend, but he's a therapist.
Right. Like, I don't know if those were the conversations behind the scene or not, but I do believe that probably didn't hurt my cause.
Which is like, it's like bittersweet in the sense of like, because with like black religion, with black Christianity,
Right.
it was like, I hope that wasn't it. But if that was the case, it was like, well, if he's doing this, he is doing this.
Right.
Like so I came out to my mom. I'm hitting the mic so much. 5 times, 4, because each time my mom couldn't believe it. So like I remember the first time, my mom knew I was different. I was a stud. So like I was a tomboy, and so like I wore a lot of boys' clothes. And my mom, black moms in black families, listen, you gonna dress like a boy, you gonna dress like a nice one. So I'm rocking FUBU, Waka wear, baby fat. And I remember this black girl just being like, I wish my mom let me dress like a boy. And for some reason in my head I was like, that's why I can't get a girlfriend. I don't know how those were correlated. And so like I just had that like issue of like trying to find myself. So when I was 14, I'm a poet. I write poetry, and my sister LaShawn got me in a lot of trouble. She liked to go through my stuff, so she pulls out this book, and it's my book of poems, and just for the fuck of it, gives it to my mom. And I come from an abusive household, so like, black trauma. 2 things can be true at once. It's not okay what my mom did with me, but it was not okay what was happened to her. And I can accept that, but also deal with accept the fact that I have boundaries. So when I got off the bus, I immediately felt it in the air. Just pulling up into the neighborhood, I was like, something is not right. I could just feel it. So I go up, I go to the door, and LaShawn opens the door, and she's just like, hi, Letitia. And I knew. And I'm just like trembling. I feel like I'm reliving it right now. And I hear her go, Letitia! And I just remember being in the corner. And again, my mom is not a monster. She's just a product of her environment. She was born in the 60s. Segregation didn't end in 64. Racism didn't end in 60. And she was a large, dark-skinned black woman. So like I get upstairs. And I saw someone that said if our parents were allowed to be queer, half of us wouldn't have been born. Think about it. If our parents were allowed to be their authentic selves, there's a chance I never existed, because my mom did have a phase at one point. And so, like, I get upstairs, and my mom is just, like, tells me to stand in the corner. She's calling me all types of names, because she's trying to process this. And towards the end of it, she's like, we're going to be all right. We're going to call this pastor. He's going to talk to you on the phone. And at one point, I was afraid, like, are they going to send me to a conversion camp? And then I was like, that'd be great, because, oh, my God, listen, you hot and ready. I'm hot and ready like a Little Caesar's pizza. So, like, skip to, like, the 3rd time. I'm, like, 16 now. And my dad's watching TV. And this is happening in the room. Something happened. And she's like, are you gay? Yes. So are you the man or are you the woman? And I just remember like her looking at me saying it. I'm like, because if my daughter is the girl gay, at least she's still pretty and wears dresses. And I can still kind of get the life I want. Because that's when it comes, when gay men come out, when men come out liking men, I'll say that, their fathers are like, well, they're this image of masculinity and what my son would be. And when it comes to women, well, our lives are wrapped around marrying men and having children. That's what we are. But now that dream is gone. And so I remember the last time I was like, my mom was in one of her abusive tangents, and I'm 17. And she's like, said something about, and I just remember sitting on the toilet looking at her and be like, I'm gay, Bonita. I didn't say Bonita. Hold on. I didn't say that. I didn't say that, but I'm gay. And like, I remember the last time my mom brought it up, in general, we were going to Thornton's. It was a beautiful day. It was sunny. Like, me and my mom, we're having a great time because my mom was my best friend for a while. And then a lot of trauma and mental health and depression. My mom, whatever. She got laid off from her job. She was a home healthcare nurse. And once she got laid off and she had been with my dad, she didn't work anymore, which meant she just sank into the things that weren't good for her. So we're having a great day, and we drive up to Thornton's, and my mom, like, we're listening to music. It's Eve. She turns off and turns to me and goes, you know, if you're gay, you're going to hell, right? Do you want a slushie or anything? Nah.
That's a turnaround.
I'm good. And then that was that. But it was like the fact that I had to keep coming out to my mom because she just didn't want to believe it. She didn't want to believe that her daughter was gay. And if I was going to be gay, why? And so, like, I turned, in the process of, like, me in my case and whatever, when I got out the hospital, I remember my older sister telling me, Mom said, like, we need to take you clothes shopping because if you're going to look like a boy, you got to don't look like a homeless one. So it's like my mom...
She accepted, but you got to be a cute one.
I got to be a cute one. And then when I brought my first girlfriend to her right before everything happened, because I had this relationship with this church girl. That's how it started. I ended up being forced. The second time is because I got caught messing with some girl in church, and I was the one that got kicked out. But my mom, because it was a predominantly white church, my mom, I remember coming home, my dad would sit on the bed. He's like, you gonna be proud of her. I was like, why? He was like, because they kicked me out. I was one of the few black kids that went there. And he said, she called them and said, why is it okay if you think if what's going on is sick and they need help, why is it okay that girl gets to stay, but my daughter doesn't?
Oh, wow.
And I was just like, those are those moments where it's just like at the end of the day, my mama was still my mama regardless. And so it was like, after that, she called every girl that she met.
Messed up.
You know what I mean? After that, she called every girl I brought home Amy, because that was the girl that I got caught with, Amy. And then one day when she finally started accepting it, it was this girl named Emily. And I remember my mom was just like, Emily. And it was just like, you called her by the right name. And she was like, go get me some pop. Emily, you can stay with me. You don't have to go with Letitia. And then it wasn't until this year. Oh, I'm going to cry. No, I don't need tissue.
I was like, we're going to get it for you.
You know, as a therapist, it's not good to give tissue out.
Look, I'm trying to
Okay.
help you.
I was at Kings Island, and I was with this girl I was talking to for a little bit. My mom met her, liked her. Of course, like, it was the first time I saw my parents after a decade of getting out of prison. That's a whole different thing. And she's on the phone. I'm about to get off because she's talking so much. I love you, Mom. I gotta go. And she goes, wait. You could have told us about Holly. You could have told us about her. You didn't have to hide her from us. You didn't have to do that. We love you. I love you, Letitia. Don't ever let the world judge you. Don't ever let anybody tell you anything. You don't have to hide. And like, I'm crying. And then 2 months later, I'm at her house, and my dad makes this comment about me marrying a man one day. My mom went, you know what the Lord, because the Lord can do what the Lord can do. Bonita, what the hell? I was like, and then it was my moment. I was like, Mom, I'm gay. Mom. I know, but I'm just saying the Lord can do. Mom, I'm gay. I know that. I didn't say that. Your dad said that. I don't know why you bring it up. I know, but you need to know I am gay.
The Lord ain't finna reverse this.
Baby,
This ain't no Uno card, Mom.
She told people when I went to prison that I didn't want to be bothered or talked to because the Lord sent me there to work me out so I could come out straight. I went to a women's prison, and her hope was I was going to come out on the straight and narrow.
She thought prison was a conversion camp?
Baby.
Yeah.
Baby, it could have been sometimes. Wow. I'll tell you that.
Dion, you hinted earlier about how your mom's religious beliefs played into maybe how she responded.
Yeah.
Can you share more about that?
Well, my father's side of my family belongs to this church that's nationwide. And so later on in my life, like when I was a teenager, my mother decided that she wanted to join this church, because we really didn't go to church much as growing up. So she decided that she wanted to do this, and when she did it wholeheartedly. Like, she was there multiple times a week, coming home just saying all kinds of like, this is how we need to do this, and this is how I do this, and you need to go with me, and you need to be in the church choir, and you need to do this. And so, I mean, she let it envelop her life. And so she thought that, being a parent, she thought that it was okay to, force that upon me as well. And I didn't grow up with that, and it was foreign to me. So I just didn't understand. I did try to embrace it for a little while, but it just didn't feel right to me. And so she, and it was a church, a typical black church. You can't be gay. You can't, and if you are gay, you can't talk about it.
You had those sweet little choir boys.
Yes.
Well, the director, okay?
Yes, it's always the director.
Always the music director everywhere.
Are y'all going to see that movie? Was it Chunkin' for Jesus or something?
I have plans to see it. It's on my next thing to watch.
Yes.
Yes.
Just because you said that.
I've been seeing a ton of people throw hate on it, but sorry.
But you're going to see why. You're going to see why. Go ahead. Sorry, Dehan.
No, it's okay. And so, so I mean, it was not something that, that she accepted. And so I found out later on that she and my father had been going through my room, and they found some things that I had stashed in my room in places, and she didn't want that life for me. And so that's why she felt that's why she was emboldened. She felt the need to come to confront me about it. And I guess she thought she was doing the right thing, trying to save me, trying to put me down a path that was not going to be rough or difficult or make her life difficult. And it was a very selfish thing to do. But she did it. And again, like I said, I'm glad she did. I truly am. So
It definitely opens up your eyes a different way. I mean, again, ugh. I always wonder, though, when people who are throwing their religious convictions at folks, like, when you do it from the aspect of, like, I'm trying to save your soul, like, come on, y'all, did that work for you when you were a teenager? Like, don't have sex. Wait a minute, didn't you do it anyway? Like,
right.
Come on, y'all. Like, can we please not? That method just does not work.
The insane part of telling 3 to 5-year-olds immediately anything you do wrong, you're going to hell. Like, fuck the 3 little pigs. Hey, this is Dante's Inferno. You're going to burn in hell with the sinners. And it's just like, I just want to watch VeggieTales and Powerpuff Girls. Right. It's like Saturday, I want to eat my cereal. Why don't I want to listen to Clef O'Dalla?
Oh my goodness. I just, it's never sat right with me. Just because, I mean, I again, childhood development, I know where this is leading. Like, that is just not a,
Sure.
let's not do that.
It's not.
Ew.
yeah.
It's so much trauma, like growing up in the black church while you're gay. Because it's like in the unpacking of it, like the unpacking, and I always say this, I had come to terms, like, I am spiritual, I've done my unpacking, the unpacking of the Christianity, all that stuff. There's still stuff I still have to deal with.
Yes.
But it was like when Lil Nas X came out with that song, Call Me By Your Name, right? And in the video, it was like it's like, as every queer black person, every queer black person, every queer person who grew up in church, it was like this slight weight that was still on your shoulders was lifted. Because for that, when I saw that, I was like, if I go to hell, I'm going down on a strip pole. Like, I didn't realize, like, I still had just a little, like, fuck you.
Right.
If it's real, I want to be there, because I don't want to go where those people. If people are like, you are going there, I don't want to go there.
Because it's
gonna be lit in hell.
Hypocrisy. It's hypocrisy all day long.
You know what I mean? Thank you, Lil Nas.
But because I want people are going to be upset when they hear me say this.
Say it though.
But I'm gonna say it because it's my truth. And I have no problem discussing it. But I am a true believer in understanding and knowing one's history, right? And so for me, especially as a black person, I've always thought, well, why the hell would I want to fully delve into this when this is what was forced upon us upon coming off the ships?
Oh my God! why?
Like this doesn't like my people believed something else before this was introduced to them, right? And this was given to us as captives. But then I learned more about our history, and one of the things that I learned very early was the way that they sold Christianity to slaves was more so because of the idea of having Sundays off. And it had to do with the fact that slaves at that time, because I don't know why people don't remember this because we don't teach our histories very well.
We don't teach history at all.
The unions weren't made until 1920. So the 40-hour work week is only 100 years old. Only 100 years old. So before that, they could work your ass however they wanted. And when you were a slave, they would work you 7 days a week.
Yeah, there was no day off.
There was no day off. So what captives did to the enslaved folks was they said, hey, you know, this religion over here, they get Sundays off. You want to do some of that? You get Sundays off. That's how they sold it. And so for me, I'm like, well, that was a hell of a way to sell it because you're able to indoctrinate people. And people weren't like, what was that movie, Harriet, where they showed like they weren't really believing it, but somewhere along our path, we lost that it wasn't supposed to be fully believed in. And now we've fully delved into it and we're using it in the same abusive way that it has now been used against us. It's never sat right with me almost my entire life. But I understand.
I want to piggyback. That's also how they were able to inculturate the white patriarch and how they were able to say slavery was okay. It was like the idea of masculinity for black men in America. Who taught you that? Who taught especially when they have conversations where they're emasculating the black man? What is masculinity to you? Because last time I checked, a lot of countries in Africa were matriarch. Last time I checked, there were a lot of kings who had husbands. Like this idea, this Christianity that strips you away. Why I never understood the concept. This was literally forced upon us. This is not what we believe. So why are you dying so hard? This guy I was working with said found out, and I'm doing more research. They did a study, and they found out that black people inherently are more spiritual than any other race.
Yes.
And I feel like it comes from the simple fact that the beliefs that we had were ripped and shredded from us, but that same faith. That's why, like, when you go into a black church to a white church is completely different. A white atheist will tell you they felt something because we're not praying to the same God. We're praying with the same energy. We're praying with that same faith belief that carries. And I want to preface this. My mom, you know, because religion and black and gay. My mom was praying for me one day on the phone. She started praying. I was like, all right, Benita, because I wanted to end whatever. But she started speaking in tongues and praying, and it was like I felt something. And it hit me. There is only one reason why every black person outside the African diaspora that is in the Caribbeans, that is in South America, that is in the Americas, that's in Africa, is because some black woman refused to die. Because you can have a child here and there, but it takes 9 months to make a baby. So that meant that black woman had to work, be raped, be beaten, escape. And what spirituality came from that kept that black woman going? That's why it's like it feels so different when a black woman, an older black woman, will pray over you. Because that same strength came from something. That faith comes from something. They may have given us a white face, but the gods are very much dark.
Listen, I feel like my spirituality is based exactly in... Yes. I'm getting your number after this, but that's why I feel my spirituality is based, because I'm like, yes, I understand that Christianity is a vehicle to get into your spiritual place. And so for that reason, it could be any religion. It just so happens that...
van, actually. It's a kidnapping van.
Well, I feel like it can happen through any religion. Except but we've got this specific one that really speaks to us. But I feel like that's true. Like whenever I listen to, I still listen to gospel music because I feel like you can't get as close to my spirituality.
Is number one every day.
Until I get there. Like something about the way that makes me feel. But I don't necessarily have to say that it's the Christian God. All I gotta do is say it's God. It's the universe. It's my deity. It's my divine.
Yeah.
It's my universe.
Something about Take Me to the King will put me in tears every time.
What? CeCe Winans and that dang Yolanda, they will do something to my spirit. BB does it too. BB will bring me to my feet. But Yolanda, she got a song. She got 2 songs on that first album, and every time I listen to them, I'll be in the car going to work. I can't do that no more. I stopped listening to them songs because they'll take me there. I'd be like, I can't do this no more.
Well, it was very healing as a gay person, as a gay black person, because it's like we did grow up with this spirituality. We grew up with this religion that said we were gonna burn in hell for what we liked, and to feel like to be like able to have spirituality still while being in love with ourselves, knowing that there's nothing wrong, we're not an abomination, while still able to connect with the music that got us there in first place. Like I said, Stomp. The fact that I can still listen to Stomp, but not feel that same Christian damnation, but still feel that power that make me clap my hands and make me want to dance. And it's like, as a gay black person, as a queer black person, like that is still mine. Yes. Regardless of what the God looks like. My God says I can drop it on the floor and give strap and whatever. and
baby said give strap.
And give strap. I ain't taking it yet. Listen, I'm not comfortable there yet. The right woman might. But it's just like with religion and being gay and being black, because black Christianity is a whole of itself, and being able just to be like, to listen to the songs like Take Me to the King and still be connected to that spirituality and still feel that feelings you got when you went to a black church, when you saw those ladies speaking in tongues and the blessed oil, and just being like, that is still mine. That is still my culture. You cannot take that from me. And it's even better now that I am a homosexual.
Yes.
So let's switch gears for our remaining time together and talk about less welcoming spaces. Healthcare.
Well, I mean,
so maybe not. Maybe it's like the best place. Maybe it's as great as church.
Well, how do you feel about it? Beyond, like,
what has your healthcare experience been like as a black gay man?
It's been pretty great, actually.
Oh
love
my
that
goodness,
for you.
that's
Love
not what
hearing
this
that.
pod. You're supposed to be able to point out all the problems.
I wish I had problems. I mean, I had problems in every other
really
aspect of
happy
my
that-
life.
I'm so glad
I'm really that
you
you
don't.
are.
Especially within the I'm glad you don't.
Yeah,
Thank you.
as a black woman, as a black person hearing that, I am so grateful that you yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I've been.
Which is rare. That's the sad part, that we're applauding
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Like,
I've been
yeah.
lucky to have doctors and healthcare professionals who listen to me, who respond to my needs. Whether it be, a primary care physician or a therapist or whatever, like everybody that I've encountered has truly helped me along my path in a good way.
Even way back when you were young, you were a kid, all of those experiences you can recall, just maybe not that much.
I mean, I didn't really go. I mean, I went to the doctor when I was a kid, obviously, but I don't really remember all of those experiences. I mean, as an adult, I've not had any bad experiences, I don't think. So,
high five to that, black man. High five to that.
So dope. I can honestly say that I know this is not what you wanted to hear, but I've also not had any bad experiences because.
Oh, I'm loving this less black
but
trauma.
because why?
But it's because I also command respect. Like, I'm paying your part of your salary, maybe not the entirety of it, but I command it in the same aspect. You can't just talk to me any kind of way. I could be a doctor too. So let's pump your brakes before we want to get real disrespectful.
Yeah.
But that being,
because we can catch this.
I mean, look, because I am William D. Stinchcomb, all these other acronym letters behind my name. I'm going to add in a couple more, hopefully next
Say
month.
that, bitch. Say that.
A little bit more, hopefully soon. But let's be understanding that I'm also William, who came from Poindexter Village, William, who came from Windsor Terrace.
Okay.
I am William from the hood. Okay. I've been trained
Not
very
burning no
well.
bets. Don't play
Trained
with it.
very well, but I will, if you take me there, I will go there. And I've not had to go there with any
Yeah.
providers because I don't believe in getting bad customer service. And that's really what that boils down to. I've been very intentional about selecting the individuals that I go to for
there we go.
services.
Okay,
So choices.
And so having those choices made a big difference. Now, I will tell y'all, the pure comedy of life is that my dentist, I've been going to him since I was in college, and he's gay.
We love
Didn't
that.
know it in the beginning, especially because him and his partner had a baby on
Yeah.
the way, but I didn't know it, but gay man as well. But I've not, but I will tell y'all, this is where I am currently. My doctor, my primary care provider, just retired in this past December. And so this has been the hardest time I think I've ever had in my life.
May I ask, are they black or white?
He was a white man. But I loved Dr. Moldor. Shout out to you. I really miss you. If you just stumble across this, I'm not asking you to come out of retiring. You deserve it, but I miss you. But
Save me.
but I love my doctor. But this is probably the hardest time I think I've ever had in my entire life, when it's come to a healthcare provider, because I am a little older. I do, with all the things I just said, I do have a certain criteria that I want to meet with a provider. And it has been hard to find someone that I was like, oh my God,
trust.
I want to believe in them. I want to do the right things. But like the providers who I know that, well, the one provider is a friend of mine, so I don't want to go to a friend. And then the other two who are specifically there's three of them who are specifically within the LGBTQ community serving that I was thinking of, because I know all the other providers. One has a waiting list. The other one has a waiting list. I refuse to go to this one. And the fourth one, I just so happened to get in, and I just got my letter today to confirm my appointment. I was like, yes, but I'm putting all my faith into her, and that's been a challenge, because I'm like, I have to find someone new, and it sucks because I have to go outside of the system that I'm used to getting my services through, and that's where I feel like the real disconnect is. That's where because if I could stay within my system, I would, but here we are, y'all. It sucks.
Well,
I didn't realize that was going to be a problem, but here we are.
Don't worry, you guys. I covered the black trauma for you. So like, as a black woman, as you were saying that, like, you demand customer service, like I'm paying you. Well, like, I'm all, like, as black women being dark skinned on top of that, we're already seen as the aggressors, or we're too loud. So like, our pain doesn't get taken seriously. We have the highest mortality rate, highest infant mortality rate.
Columbus has the highest in the nation.
When I was 20 years old and I shot myself, because that's the thing, picking selective. At this point, it's like, if my doctor's not a black woman, and I'm gonna say something that people might not like, a lot of black people, a lot of black men, but most black men are just white men on night mode. And so it's like the patriarch doesn't care what you look like as long as you have a dick. They would prefer you to look like them, but if you have a dick, you're fine. And so like, I remember always having issues, but I was 20 years old when I shot myself in the chest. I was in the hospital. And I remember I was getting my third chest tube. The first, it was the third, because it wasn't sticking, it wasn't supposed to be doing. And so like, I had this white young doctor. He was, what's the resident, something like that, when they're starting out. And I remember like, I can still feel this. I need more medicine. Because chest tubes are the only surgery they can do without putting you under. So like, you are awake for this. They take this giant needle this big to stick in to numb the area, a bigger needle to go through your rib cage to numb the area too. So like, I'm feeling all of these things. So like, they finally numb me, and they're going to put the chest tube in, and I remember just feeling it. And the saddest part is my mom and my dad are born pre and post Jim Crow. So my dad was born in 1949. And so like, my father, who had to witness so much trauma growing up as a black man in the South, because there are conversations. I will say this, as black people, white people, be conscious about black trauma, because we are learning about things our parents and grandparents didn't want to tell us. Like Black Wall Street Tulsa is not the only place. I found out that one of the cities my dad was from was put underwater. Like it's not even on the map. So like, here's my father listening. So I'm like, I can feel this pain. I'm hurting. And there was this Indian doctor with him, and he turns out to be one of the best. He was one of the best chest tube surgeons that they had. So he's watching over this, and I am in tears. I'm like, I can feel this. And I remember this white man doctor was just like, he was young. He had to be in his 20s. He's like, you can tell I was in pain. And he's just like, we got to give her more medicine. And I'm just screaming, like, at this point, like, I'm going to piss on myself. I was in so much pain that I was going to piss on myself. And I remember the Indian doctor just shooing him away, so mad, like, get away. And I'm screaming in agony. And I'm just like, damn, my little sister is out there with my father, who has to listen to this and not being able to do anything. And this Indian doctor, and that's why I say there's anti-blackness in every community. We don't just people of color and black people. And he's just shoving this tube in me, and I'm so in pain. And so when it was time for the fourth tube, because the third tube didn't take, I remember being like, I don't want this doctor. Is it going to be him? Like, I don't want him. Saying I don't want him. Well, he's the best that we have. And he comes into the room and he's got his phone just for purposes. He just comes in, and he's just like on his phone as he's walking for like the first 10 minutes. He's just not even looking at me. He's not acknowledging me. And then he finally gets up and he's kind of getting suited. And I find out beforehand, my mom, my dad, and my little sister were so traumatized. And my sister went and told my dad that my mom called the hospital because at the end of the day, I'm still her daughter. Mm-hmm. Black people are going to black people, you know? Mm-hmm. And my mom but LaShawn told me that she cussed the doctors out. And it was just like, my mom could even come to the hospital, so how terrible it was. And just imagine, because my mom grew up in the 60s. So a dark-skinned black woman who's big, because blackness didn't get accepted until the 80s. I don't care what y'all say. It wasn't okay to be black until y'all liked hip-hop. And it's just like, my mom had to listen. How many black girls did my mom have to listen to? How many times did my mom not get listened to? Because she was in pain. How many black women died? The idea of knowing that so many black women died because nobody listened to them. And my mom just mad. And so he comes in. He doesn't say a word to me. And they numb me up pretty good. They do their job. And he does the surgery, whatever. And I remember just turning around and be like, so is it on the right place? Is it where it needs to be? And he goes, well, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. And I'm like, what do you mean I don't know? Well, I mean, hopefully it is, you know, whatever. And it was like, had I been a white woman, had I been white, like I said this in the last one, people don't realize that Beyonce almost died.
Yeah.
That Serena Williams almost died.
Yeah.
These influential, powerful black women. And it's like, I have to go into a doctor's office and not only worry, do they like black people? Do they like women? Do they like black women? Are they going to look at me a certain way? Are they not going to take me seriously? Are they going to think I'm too aggressive because I'm demanding for a CAT scan? Oh, whatever. Am I looking for drugs because I'm in pain? It's like, at the end of the intersectionality. Like there was a law passed in 2013 or something like that because of the certain discrimination that black women faced. Yeah. Because it was like, well, we hire black men. We hire black people. Look at this black man. We hire women. Look at this white woman. And it's like, no. And that trickles down to everything. As a black woman, healthcare is terrifying. I am telling you this now. I am scared. I don't go, especially because the Tuskegee experiment. That's also right. White people don't realize, like, we don't just like go into the doctors because we're poor, but because we know what doctors would do to us. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, as a black woman, I am petrified. Because even if you are a woman, if you're not black, how are you going to treat me the same? Yeah. Am I going to be in a situation where I got an infection when I was after the tubes. I got an infection. Like I was almost going to lose my lung again. And it was just like I wasn't even bathed properly. That's how I got the infection. I had this one man, he was this white man who I was like, I have to use the bathroom. He's like, I have a daughter, I have an infant, I know how to wipe. I peed and he just wiped the crack of my ass. And it was just like, I just remember being so embarrassed because I smelled so bad because I refused to let anybody else touch me. And then there was this white girl, she came in, she kind of bathed me and she was cute and I was really like, God damn it. But it wasn't until I had a black woman helper because I was a suicidal patient. So like I had to have a helper and she came in, she bathed me. She changed my sheets and put baby powder in the sheets. And we all know how, and it just felt like home. And I felt safe. And that's why it's so scary. And it's so amazing to hear you two say you didn't have that issue. And it's so amazing for you to be like, I demand that. You're going to give that to me. And it's just like, because at the end of the day, as a black woman, I can't just demand it. I can't just say, you're going to treat me right. Because they're already going to say, there's a song that she goes, kiss my teeth, you're going to say that I'm angry. Mm. Drive around in the Benz, you're going to think I'm up to no good. And it's like, as a black woman, we can't do anything. As a dark-skinned black woman, I can't do anything. So it's like, I got to be good at a dentist's office. I got to be good at a doctor's office. my mom, I love her. I was on ADHD medicine, and my mom was abusive with my medicine. So when I would go to the doctor, my mom would tell me, you need to tell them that the medicine's not working. You need to tell them. You need them that you need it upped. So when I was on the highest dose of Adderall or Strateria or Concerta, it was like 56 plus a 36. And then my mom would get mad and double those doses. So like I'm almost on like 200 milligrams of meth. And it was like each time from the age of 9 to 16, I believe, 16 or 17, the doctors just kept upping it. Yeah. No one noticed that. And then one day it was a black woman doctor that came in. And I'll never forget this because my mom did the same spiel. And I was like, all right. And the lady came in and she immediately knew something was up. She just felt it in the room. Black woman's intuition. And she was like, so how's the medicine doing, Letitia? And I was just like, it's not working. You know, I'm selling it. I'm like, it's not working. I need it up. But she looked at me and just gave me this look. And then looked at my mother, and then they had a conversation between their eyes. You know how that goes. Mm-hmm. And she looked at me, she goes, we're going to wait. We're going to wait. We're not going to up it. We're already on a high dose. We're just going to see how it goes. And, like, I had been going to so many doctors, or no, same doctor, I think, or multiple. My mom wasn't hopping from doctors. It was the same doctor's office, but they were always white. They were either white men or white women. And it took this black woman to notice that something's not right. Why? How? Your daughter's on the highest dose we can give you, and you're saying this medicine's not working? So regardless of the situation, whether she was overdosing me or taking it herself, the doctor was like, something's wrong, and we're not going to up it. And I remember how mad my mom was, but she couldn't be mad at me. And I just remember giving this look to this lady of just like, which you probably get as a working with kids, the thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for seeing it. Thank you for not seeing me as this problem, because that's what I was, a problem that they just kept upping. So like healthcare is terrifying for a black woman or black people, but black women. So
I will say what's interesting hearing you tell your story. Something that because when you originally asked the question, it was about PCPs, and then I've kind of hyper focused on PCP, on my primary care provider. I will, again, when I tell y'all more recent issues in my life, it's literally been more recent issues. I had to go see a urologist last year, and I had to go back and revisit that same office this year, literally just 2 weeks ago. So the urologist that I saw last year, I guess whatever the medical issues that were going on, the man looked at me when it was all said and done, and he said to me, quote, well, I don't know, and walked out of the room. That was quite literally what he said to me. And then the nurse came in. When I tell you I was so infuriated,
baby,
I was so infuriated. I wrote a letter to tell, like, I've never felt my Karen get so strong in my entire life, because he literally walked in the room and looked at me, and just, after I don't know, that was his response. I said, what the? So when
you're supposed to be this best motherfucker. I'm paying you this shit.
Look here, I thought I was safe in your arms, like, but I guess that's only Jesus alone. Like,
and all say,
right? Like, when I say that's their hands, I was trying to be comforted. But when I tell y'all that pissed me off, it pissed me off to a whole new level. And I don't think I've ever been that mad about any medical service I've ever received in my life until last year. So when I had to go back this year, and again, this was just 4 weeks ago, four weeks ago, and I had my last appointment, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, when they said, oh, we see you're already on the records for Dr. If I remember his name, I'd say it on here because I want y'all to know who he is, over at Central Urology, over up on East Wilson.
You can
West
know
Wilson.
the location.
I mean, that part.
Say that.
But that gentleman, they have plenty of doctors to practice out of there, but this particular one, but when they told me that I had to see him again, I said, that is the worst doctor I've ever had in my entire life. And if you try to assign me to him, I promise you, I won't show up for that appointment. I'm going to just waste y'all's time. And so they were like, oh, okay, well, we're going to switch you up again. Do you have another provider in mind? And so when I got there for that appointment, they must have still had that old doctor on the record. And I was like, no, never. I will burn this bitch down. And I said those exact words to her. I looked at her in her face. I will burn this bitch down. I said, whoever I'm supposed to be is not this one. It's the new. I'm supposed to be. And she said, oh, I'm sorry. I see that you got switched. Yes. Thank you. great provider. I like this guy, but what I'm telling you, it's only been in the last year because the doctor that left, the other one is. It happens. And if I didn't believe in medicine, I would have given up. I can understand how someone else would easily give up. Mm-hmm. But I do believe in the science of medicine. I do believe there are crappy humans out there. And that doesn't exclude doctors. Yeah. I mean, a doctor who passed med school as a below average student with all C's is still a doctor. It's still a doctor.
Well, and it's still an institution based on centuries of racism and misogyny, and so it's
all those things.
Even being a black provider working in that, as you had said, it's like you're still working in an institution that's based on race and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years.
You're super keen of it when you do work in the institutions. We're like, oh, I have. Yeah. You got to be hyper focused about some of those things, but
man, healthcare is delivered is fundamentally racist. So,
like, people forget, weren't taught that, like, the father of gynecology
experiment on black women,
on black enslaved women. Like, congratulations. The reason why you're in a stirrup is because somebody that looked like me was tied to one.
Yeah,
like, so
didn't they have to pull down his statue recently from somewhere?
I pray to God they did. Fuck that man.
His statue was up somewhere. I thought they pulled his down.
They better.
Don't quote me.
This is a really great, I think, beginning of a conversation that needs to continue, and I'm hoping all of those out there listening in Idaho and Wisconsin and
I'm really hoping we reach Wyoming,
the Philippines.
You got investments in potatoes over there?
Maybe somewhere. No.
I really want to get to Wyoming.
Yeah, so that people continue this conversation, and these are your experiences that you've had, and as we mentioned in the beginning, this isn't a representative sample. This is just your experiences, and they're valuable and they're important. And we know that people out there have also had their own experiences, and we also know that healthcare is fraught with issues. So frothy. Yes. So thank you all for participating. I appreciate your time and coming out to the ends of Columbus, Ohio, on a late, cool autumn night. And
that sounds sexy.
Yeah, so stay tuned for more episodes of Stop Stigma, Start Healing, and good night.